Joining us all the way from USA, Nancy is going to be helping us talk about this topic, raising generational leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, to bring upon the stage at this point in time, Nancy, Taiye, Aragbaye.
Thank you so much, Joshua. You make me sound like a star. I greatly appreciate it. First, want to say I'm honored to be here today, and I'm always filled with joy when I'm in the presence of educators. I say when you're once an educator, you're always an educator. So it wasn't too long ago when I myself taught children in the classroom. So not only can I sympathize with what you all are going through, but I also have the ability to empathize. I've been through it. And education on a global scale is just lacking. And so, as Joshua mentioned in my bio, I did see a desperate need for business education and leadership development in our curriculums. Again, it's a global issue. It's not an African issue. It's not a US issue, but it's a global issue. All of our children are missing critical skills. So I, again, want to commend you. I think that educators are the backbones of countries. They are on the front lines of ensuring that our children are developed properly. And many times, educators wear many hats, where they're not only a teacher, but they're the disciplinarian, they're the parents oftentimes, they're counselors, they're friends, they are so much to children. And so again, I want to thank you all for your commitment to the children that you serve. I'm really excited today because I am so passionate about leadership, and the fact that you all get to develop children to be our next generational leaders is a privilege. And I want to make sure that we walk away with not just theoretical conversation, but practical ways that you today can walk away, and tomorrow you can start implementing strategies for building generational leaders. So we all are aware that there is not a formal education, a formal curriculum for leadership development, which is, in my opinion, very problematic. And I say that what you see today across the world is a reflection of our leaders. Our communities today are simply a reflection of the leaders that are in current positions. So when you understand that you as an educator have the power to create the community and create the environment that you want to see by simply building up the children that you see every single day, I tell you, it's an honor and it's a privilege. It's a privilege. That's why my heart is always committed to educators. My heart is always thinking about children, because I know that if we get it right with the kids, we get it right for our communities in the future. So before I get started and I start dropping all the gems, I have a question for you all. You guys are here listening to my words, and I'm always honored, but I have a question for you all before we get started. And you can put your answers in the chat or raise your hand, whichever is the best way, Joshua. I'm open, but I'm curious to know, what does it mean to be a leader? In your opinion, what does that even mean? Because I think sometimes we have these definitions, and I want to make sure that we're all aligned on what does it even mean to be a leader.
Okay, in my own opinion, a leader is someone that creates a way for others to follow. Okay, it is not just telling people the right way to follow, but creating the right path and leaving it for others to follow. That's my own opinion.
Thank you for that. I appreciate your contribution to the discussion. And I love what you said, creating a way, but not just a way, but a positive pathway for others to follow. I love that. And then we have someone in the chat that said, to be relevant and influence positive values. Is there anyone else that wants to throw their definition in the chat? One last person, or raise their hand?
Thank you very much for the question, Miss Nancy. My own opinion, a leader is someone that educates someone, okay, that mentors someone else based on character, positive values that is required in the future. not just what is required from the system. The educator finding himself confined. Okay, like some the sector might be an educational institution, it might be a business program, it might be anything. Okay, so not just based on what is required from that particular sector, but what is best for that kid in the future for the society. Thanks very much.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. And what I want to do is just take the three definitions that we have, right? There's a theme that is there. Positive values and other people, right? So we are leading. What does it mean to be positive? I tell people all the time, man, is it that hard to just be positive? Is it that hard to just do the right thing? Is it that hard to think of other people before yourself? And believe it or not, it's actually very difficult. Again, our current leaders, our current communities is a reflection of our current leaders. It's actually difficult for people to think beyond themselves because human nature is selfish. Human nature is always thinking about how they themselves can get ahead. But when you're able to teach someone to think beyond themselves, it's not an easy task. That is the pure leadership, right? And not to bring in, I'm not here to preach. I'm not a preacher by any means. But when we think about leadership, I think about Jesus Christ, right? He truly served people. He was here for the masses, thought beyond himself. So again, it's not an easy task. So we have a lot of leaders who are not showing us what it means to be positive. We have a lot of leaders today in our communities who are more focused on their power than the people that they're supposed to be leading. We have a lot of leaders who are focused on their money versus building thriving communities so all can succeed, right? And so again, how do we take this idea of being positive and having values and teach it to our children when it's not in the curriculum, which it's insanity in my opinion. Why are we not teaching people to think about their communities? Okay, so I say this to say that leaders lead by example, right? I'm actually scared for all of humanity because we have a lot of leaders, and I'm like, if we actually followed their way, we would have community. I don't even know what will come of our communities. This is why it's important that we as individuals understand that it's not a title. Leadership is not a title. So that means that every single person in this virtual room is a leader. So you have the ability to show your students what it means to showcase positive values. And so the definition that I got from leadership, I think it was Merriam, was it's a leader rallies a group of people behind a vision and a common cause, right? And this cause is bigger than themselves, and the cause is for others. And so when I think about you, and something I think about myself as a teacher, what made me such a successful teacher, it's beyond the academics, okay? And I want every teacher in this room right now to understand that your role, that I would say it's a gift, it's a privilege to be in the role. I don't care what the salary is. I don't care how you're viewed. It is a gift to be a teacher. And so you have the gift of mobilizing a group of little humans that will be adults and be our next generational leaders. So what are you as the leader in the classroom? And that's how you need to view yourself. You're not a teacher or an educator. You are the leader in the classroom, the leader of a school, the leader of a community. What are you doing yourself to show children what it means to serve others? What are you showing? How are you showing and demonstrating positive values? How are you communicating with your children, right? That's the first thing. I need you to reflect on that. Are you living out the values that you want to see your politicians leave? So it's real easy to point to the leader and say, they're not doing this. They don't think about us. All they do is shout. All they do is this. All they do is that. look at yourself and you ask yourself, are you living out the values that you want your leaders to demonstrate? That's number one. The second thing I would ask you to do, because it starts with you, and I mean this with every bone in my body, every element that I have inside of me, create a vision for your classroom. And this is, again, we got to think beyond academics, because if you as a teacher can get this right, I promise you the students will learn. I was a really good teacher. I'm not gonna lie. I think I was one of the best in when I used to teach. But it wasn't the fact that I was a good teacher. It was the fact that I built rapport with my children. It was the fact that I looked at myself as a leader and I taught beyond the curriculum. So when I taught, yes, you're going to learn how to read, you're going to learn how to do math, but I taught you how to be a good human. And because I was a good human to my students, they listened to me, they respected me, and they wanted to do well because we had that rapport. So the more that you can think beyond the academics and think about how are you going to positively influence these children, how are you going to show them how to be a good human being, you'll start to understand that they do well naturally. They do well naturally. And I would say we've all been children before, and maybe we can do just a show of hands, virtual hands. I say Nigerian parents are, I think they're very interesting, very, very, very interesting. And I always remember as a child, sometimes when my mom would just shout, and I'd be like, dang, did you actually, it didn't require all of that. Or she would tell me to do something, and I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, well, you didn't do that. And even as children, you know, sometimes I'm gonna go back to the times where they would be rude or make comments. Remember, like there'll be just insults that were given, they would think that it was used to uplift the child, but you don't know what that could do to someone. And so, how are you communicating with your students? These things are important. They're so overlooked. They're so overlooked, but we don't understand how critical it is for our kids. So what type of environment and community, right, are you creating for your students? So you have to get a vision for your classroom or for whatever. If you're a school leader, what is the vision for the school? If you're a teacher, what is the vision that you have in the classroom? I start there. So before I even start the school year, before the kids meet me, I want a positive environment. I want a positive environment in my classroom. I want the kids to support one another. I want everyone to be friends. I want everyone to have empathy for one another. These are the things that I create. Like when I see the best classroom ever, it doesn't matter about your resources. I've taught in some, and you'll be surprised, this is America. I've taught in American schools where we didn't really have a lot of resources. But my kids learned and we loved each other, and that's all that matters. And so what is the vision beyond resources and beyond academic success? What do you want to be true for the community in your classroom? That is what you have to create. And you have to hold on to that, because that's how you're going to start to instill these leadership characteristics inside of your children. So when you create that culture, right? So let's go back, big vision. Right. So I think about my community now in the US. We're having these issues. Donald Trump, he's insane, right? He tried to take over the Capitol and do all these interesting things. And these people, I'm sitting back watching the news like, why would someone do that? How could you do that? But someone missed it in his life where Donald Trump thought power was more important than creating a fair world for everyone, where he thinks money is the most important thing, right? Money and power. And those things are important. I'm not going to lie, they are, but it's not the most important. And that's not where your focus should be. And so when we have leaders who weren't taught properly and they think that position, the title, and the money is the most important, and it's been instilled within them since children, they grow up to be adults who think the same way. So when we instill in our children that love is what matters most, healthy communities what matters, sharing and caring is what matters, being empowered is what matters. Empathy, listening, communication, these things matter. Then you have little kids who take these lessons with them and they grow up and they become adults who live by them. Till this day, I have lessons that my father have taught me that are playing back in my brain like a radio recorder. And one of the lessons my father taught me, to be what others aren't, you have to do what others don't do. And I repeat that in my mind. So when I'm working on my business, or when I used to be in school and I'm studying, those lessons will come and play to me. This is what we're same thing that you're doing as a teacher. I have kids till this day, and I'm not going to lie to you all, that call me Miss, and they call me Miss A because my last name Aragbaye, they can't say out, their tongues will get confused, but they call me Miss A. They say, Miss A, remember that time when you did this? I have students now they're now in college, and I taught them when they were in 5th grade, like 20 years old now. And Miss A, remember when you did this for us? You took us to this place. You had the people come in our classroom to do this. I honestly don't remember, to be honest. I don't remember, but they remember. I have kids who call me till this day because they know how much I love them. None of the children can say that I didn't love them. And none of the children can say that I wasn't an example of what I want for them in their life. That is the lessons that we leave with our students. So with that, what are some of the critical leadership characteristics that it doesn't take rocket science? It doesn't take a formal curriculum. It doesn't take much. You can do these things every single day, and you can practice it by being the example and encouraging your students to do the same thing. So what in the world are they, Miss Nancy Taiye? What are they? Okay, let me tell you what they are. One thing that you should practice first as the adult is empathy. I think empathy is a very critical skill. And if we all embraced this skill, the world would be a better place. Okay. We'll be able to create generational leaders that can truly transform our communities. Having this understanding of other humans and being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and feel what they're feeling goes a very long way. And it allows you to lead with grace as well. So what do I mean by that? Oftentimes some of these troublemakers, I tell you, they get on my nerves. And this is just be transparent now. Some of these kids, they get on our nerves, but it doesn't mean we don't love them. I have this boy, I'll never forget him, Charles. Charles was a troublemaker. Okay, that boy will come in my classroom and he'll terrorize the kids, and he thinks he's going to terrorize me until I show him my other side. Nonetheless, I tried to understand where Charles' frustration and anger was coming from. This is a kid who, when he went home, there's nobody at home. His mother was working all the time. Sometimes he didn't even have food to eat. This is a child who traveled, and again, this is the U.S., right? So we're taking U.S. for a child to travel 2 hours or 1 hour to school. That's not normal. So this child was almost homeless, traveling on public transportation just to get to school, and he's 10 years old. So I can imagine at 10 years old, waking up early in the morning, getting dressed by myself. My mom is not around, and getting on public transportation, not the school bus. This is public transportation in the city of Atlanta. It's the inner city. So on any given morning, danger could be along the way, and coming to school to learn. Now, at that age, I can imagine how I would feel. So me being able to start to feel what Charles could feel allows me to have empathy for him when he does something crazy, like throw a chair or cuss at his teacher. I'm able to now talk to him with less frustration and communicate and ask, why are you behaving this way? Hey, what is going on? So instead of me shouting and pinching his arm and sending him out of my classroom, because that's what I really wanted to do most of the times, I wanted to hit him and shout at him and I'm going to be your mom today, right? And discipline him. That's my initial feeling. But because I have empathy for Charles's situation, I'm able to say, hey, what's going on? Talk to me. How are you feeling? And put myself in his shoes. Now, how do we teach that to kids? First of all, you teach it by displaying it. That's number one, right? So let's have empathy for our students. And then when you can embed this skill into your lesson as well, right? This is at no cost. And it's also at you can do it at free will, right? You can have conversations. This is the dialogue has to happen because leadership is really rapport building. It's really understanding humans, right? So when we demonstrate it, we ask our students to do the same thing, right? And I would do this with my kids. We would talk a lot. We would have these vulnerable moments. Sometimes we would sit either in the beginning of the day or at the end of the day, and we have conversations about real life. Because if you don't know what's going on at home with your students, you can't have empathy. So we would have that real talk. What's going on? You know, how are you feeling today? Sometimes school is so focused on math, science, reading, writing. We don't even ask people how they feel. Can you imagine that you're going through so much at home and no one asks you how you feel? And so that gives you an opportunity to showcase empathy. Wow. How would you guys feel if this happened to you or if this was going on? Then we're able to get an understanding of one's feelings. I even do it with my daughter. She's 6. She'll be 7 soon. But sometimes she'll do crazy things, and I want to smack her at first. My initial is to just give her one good slap, but that won't teach her anything other than her mom will backhand her from time to time, right? But I think empathy is better. So this is what I say. Chi-Chi, her name is Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi, how many times have I asked you to do this thing? Okay, 5 times or 3 times, whatever the time is. Is that okay? She'll say no. All right, wonderful. We're on the same page. I've asked you 3 times. How do you think I feel? She's 6. How do you think I feel? Then she said mad. I'm not really mad. I'm frustrated. That's what I tell her. So now she's understanding what I'm feeling. I'm frustrated. Is it okay? Do you think it's okay? Do you want to make your mommy frustrated? She'll say no. Okay, so what do you think you should do? I should listen to you. Okay, great. Now, what do you need to go do? Then she'll tell me what she needs to go do. What do you want your punishment to be? Because you did not listen. I'm telling you, these kids, they're smart. They'll rationalize. Kids like to be corrected. They like structure. So when you're able to have these reflective conversations, to teach empathy, how are people feeling, it will make them better leaders. And now my daughter today, I kid you not, there are times where she goes, so she knows that I do work in Nigeria. She wants to go to the orphanage with me, right? This is just an example of empathy. She said, Mommy, and every time we turn on the TV, she'll see something, donate some money, and she'll take a picture. And she said, well, Mommy, I think it's better if we don't just send the money, but we go ourselves, because it makes people feel better when you actually go in person. She's starting to think about how people feel. She doesn't want to just send money to people. She wants to go and spend time with them because it makes people feel better. I said, who taught you that? She said, I don't know. I just know. So she's already starting to think about how people feel if she were in their shoes. These are lessons that you can teach your kids anytime when they misbehave, or if they say something mean to someone, or if they misbehave, or if they don't do their work, whether they get an A on a test or they fail a test, these are things that you can implement, okay? So I talk a lot. I'm gonna go through the others as quickly as well. So empathy is one. Stewardship, doing for others. That is something that you can implement in your classroom immediately. Making a habit of doing something nice to someone else. You get to create that environment in your classroom, stewardship. The next, self-reflection. So those questioning is probably one of the most powerful things that a good leader possesses and can give to someone else. Questioning brings reflection, okay? So have your students reflect on their day. How did your day go today? How would you rate your day? Were you kind to other people? Did you demonstrate our values? You guys mentioned positive values in the beginning. What are those positive values? Because if your kids don't know the values that you stand by in your classroom, so those 5 values or those 6 values, you ask them, did you demonstrate those values today? Have them do a quick reflection. This is learning. This is the learning that's beyond academics that people need. Did you uphold the values today? And if the answer is no, why not? How can you make sure tomorrow those values are upheld in our classroom? And I would tell my kids that, you know what? In our classroom, we are hardworking. If you don't want to be hardworking today, I understand, but you can't be in here. And this is how I talk to 10-year-olds, 9 and 10. And they would say, and I would say, so you actually do not have to do work today. You can leave if you want to. Those kids will stay right in that chair and they'll get their minds right. Because you're not upholding our value. And I understand some people are not feeling it today and they don't want to uphold the values. But guess what? You can't be with us because in this environment, we uphold the values, positive values that demonstrates good leadership. And then communication and listening are 2 others, right? How are you communicating with children? Everything doesn't require shouting. Now, I understand sometimes they do crazy things and you want to shout. I get it, because sometimes I shout too. But 80% of the time should not be shouting. It doesn't require that. And how are you getting information across to the other person? You know, whether it's written communication, oral communication, it has to be effective. Is it clear? Now, you shouldn't do that. Do they know why? Do they know why they shouldn't behave a certain way? Have we talked about it? Do we know that that type of behavior leads to people feeling a certain type of way, or it shows this certain type of character? We need to do more teaching. Again, teaching beyond the curriculum, right? Teaching character versus just shouting all the time. And even if you shout, make sure they know why you're shouting, because you're frustrated, right? This is, again, learning human behavior, because leadership is about people. And if you don't understand the people in your community, how can you effectively lead them? I'm going to say that again. Leadership is about people. And if you don't if you don't understand the people in your community, how can you effectively lead them? We have to teach that at a young age. And listening is the last. Again, it's not about bossing people around. That is not what leadership is. It's not about power. And for some reason, this is especially in African nations, they are power stricken. And I don't know what, it's not about your power. I understand that you're the boss, but does that mean I don't have a voice? So you as the leader in the classroom have to understand that voice matters. What you think matters. So that means you have to listen to the people that you're serving. Wow, how powerful would that be if we taught little children how to listen to the people around them so they can actually do what their community needs? Wouldn't we have a better Nigeria? Wouldn't we have better thriving communities if we listened to the voices around us and implemented what they need and what they want? That is the power of leadership and possessing characteristics and making sure that our children understand that. Okay, so let me go through these characteristics. There's, I think, 5 of them. I'll say it one more time. And you start thinking about, it's nothing but having conversation and teaching life lessons through some of the social interactions that are happening in your classroom. So those characteristics are empathy, stewardship, reflection, communication, and listening. And my last thing to you all is that it truly, and I say this from, I'm such a genuine, passionate, compassionate individual. I will never in my life tell you something that I have not done or I'm not doing myself. I don't believe in that. Start with your vision for your classroom. What do you want to be true for the kids that you're teaching? What type of community do you want to build? What type of environment and positive culture do you want to demonstrate? And what values do you want your children to uphold? When you do that and you live that out, the kids will pick up on it as well. 1 year with a child is a lot of time. How many hours you have to teach these children these lessons every single day. So again, I want to thank, I know my time is my time is up, but I want to remind you all that you all are powerful. You all are blessed and privileged to lead our next generational leaders. And I ask that you challenge yourself to uphold these positive values that you want to see in your leaders, in your nation's leaders, because you don't know that child that you're teaching could be the next president. So thank you all for listening to me. And I wish you the best. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Amazing. I just wish I could, I don't know, I wish this place could get as jazzy as Clubhouse so that I can play some music or some hand clap or something. But if I play that, the sound, Google Meet will filter it out as the noise sound. But Nancy, I can't thank you enough for that amazing session, because you've just taken us into raising generational leaders, and this is so important topic. I can see hands up already, right? And we're getting into the Q&A session immediately. This is where we are getting into right now, and so get your questions ready, right? But before we get leadership characteristics that Nancy has just shared with us, all right? Of course, she went over it and over again of empathy, and she said the best way is for you to show it. The best way is for you to show it. The best way for you to teach this or to teach this to the students is for you to show it. So as a teacher, as an educator, you need to have empathy. You need to have empathy, and you need to show it to the students. They need to know that you love them. Just like she said, a student, imagine she was an educator in the formal sector. She's still an educator though, right? Nancy, you're still an educator, but I mean, in the formal sector, yeah, the students still call you till today. You know, that's to tell you that, of course, it's not just that you feel that you showed empathy. They know that you love them. They know that you showed empathy, and then that you love them. And it's so important for you as an educator to show empathy. Stewardship. Educator, being an educator means being a servant. That's the truth. Stewardship is servanthood. You have to serve. It's so important. Reflection. This is so important. Allow the students be able to reflect. Allow the students also get to reflect about who they are and what it is that they can achieve. Of course, communication. Don't just shout. Don't just say do this or do that. Let them understand what you're communicating. It has to be clear. So important. And of course, listening. Very, very important. All right. I'm seeing the comment section is blowing up already, and I can't wait to get your questions. So now we're moving into the Q&A session. We've had two amazing sessions. This is a Q&A session, and I want you to ask it. Ask it. Don't keep it to yourself. Ask it. Ask it. I want you to ask it. That thing that this is the last session. So whatever it is that you don't ask now, you either wait for the Each Tech Colloquium on October 6th or any other programs we're going to have within our Clubhouse sessions and in the Each Tech Network to ask these questions. So this is the time that you get to ask your question. Don't keep it to yourself. Now, there are ways that you can ask this question. First of all is that you can use the chat session. You can get on the chat session here and put down your questions. Or you can put your hands up, and I'm going to see you. I'm going to click on you, and I'm going to bring you up on stage to ask your questions. All right? So if you have a question based on the things that you've heard tonight, First of all, we talked about the role of educators in entrepreneurship development by Dr. Sumi Smart Francis. And now we talked about raising generational leaders. That is phenomenal. Now, the questions, whatever questions that you have a questions and you want to ask it. I want to see your hands up. Put your hands up, and I'm going to click on you. I'm going to bring you up on stage to ask these questions. And remember, it's important for us to talk about this, to bring it down to practical terms. So when I'm talking of questions, I need you to ask it in practical terms. You are in the classroom as a teacher. You are in the classroom. You are the head of the school, because there are mixtures we have mixtures of audience here. So we have school leaders, we have classroom teachers, and then of course we have entrepreneurs and independent educators in here. And at each point in time, you are interacting with the students. What you are doing is to raise generational leaders with the students. You are trying to raise leaders out of them. And remember, there's a good leader and there's a bad leader, right? She just cited examples of some that, did some things, right? And there are so much more bad leaders than we have good leaders in the world, and that is just the truth. As she said, it is the reflection of our educational system. And like we rightly said, you are the change that we desire. You should be the change, right? You want to inculcate to the student, do this and do that, but you have to be the change, right? So now I'm going to get your questions. I'm just going to go over the chat session to see. I can say, okay, Franca Duke said, well done, Nancy. That was clear. That was the best character education needed at this time. Thank you for sharing. Wow, amazing session by Sarah. Tony said, thanks, Ma, fabulous teaching. Now, okay, Gloria, I wasn't able to join at the time during the network issues, but I had a little please. I asked for a recap. All right. So if Gloria, we might not get into the full recap, but the highlight of what Nancy was able to show us tonight was some of the critical leadership characteristics as an educator that you must possess to be able to implement into your classroom, because you are the model of whatever thing that you're trying to teach the students. You're trying to teach them whatever, you're trying to raise generational leaders. You have to be a generational leader. So it's not something that you get to enforce on them. You want to raise leaders, then you be the leader. And the five critical points she raised was empathy, she raised stewardship, communication, reflection, and listening. All right, so I'm going to take questions right now. And I can see Friday's hand is up. And I'm going to take Friday. Now, before I take Friday, if you want to ask questions as well, put your hands up and I'm going to bring you up on stage. Friday, you're ready for me. The mic is yours. Ask your question.
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, Friday, we can hear you.
Yes,
loud and clear.
You can hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Go
I
ahead,
can hear
Friday.
you.
Okay, ma, good, ma. Thanks. I've gone through the qualities you gave, ma. They are wonderful. Empathy, stewardship, reflection, communication, and listening. And please, ma, the question I want to ask is this. Is it out of place for a teacher to like discipline a child? I, for one, I'm working in a place where we have a policy that forbids teachers from disciplining children. Do you understand what I'm saying, ma'am?
I do.
Yes, and it's sometimes frustrating when you start hearing a child telling you that, I know you can't do this to me, you can't do that, because, they are acquainted with the school policy, and even the parents are acquainted with it. So whenever you cross your boundary, the next moment you see the parent or the school management.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it is out of, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Finish your point.
Okay, so I don't know if it is out of place to discipline a child, because I'm actually scared of the future. When you're raising up children that are educated and they are not disciplined, I wonder how the future will look like. So yes. I don't know if there's anything you can say about that.
It's a great point, and I think it's also a lovely way to infuse character development, right? Which is simply leadership, right? How are we building? Now, that type of language for a child to say, I can do this and I know you can't do anything to me, that's actually very manipulative. And I'm actually afraid for what that type of child already thinking in that manner, what they will grow up to. But what could we do? I think we have to reshape our definition of discipline. I think what we're used to is back in how I even was disciplined is different than how I discipline my daughter. There's something I wouldn't even think about doing or saying because I know I'll get backhanded in instant, right? There's something that I wouldn't even try. Now, what do we consider discipline? Is there a way to discipline a child without physically insulting them or even verbally? Yes, there is. There is, right? What does a child value? And how do you take it away? So I'll give you just an example. So sometimes I'll do these things on purpose. Like, oh, I love the kids who did X, Y, and Z. Because you did this, your reward now, you have a homework pass. Automatic A for your homework assignment. The kids who didn't do X, Y, and Z, right? You don't get that. But what you have to do is find what these kids value nowadays, and you take it away. We don't have to just physically discipline someone to call it discipline. There's ways to do it. Sometimes I won't even talk to the child. You'll be surprised at what ignoring someone will do. I will have kids who will literally they're acting crazy in the back of the room, and I taught my kids I called it a cloak. So there's Harry Potter, and again, my kids are younger, so it just depends. But you got to know that the age of a child, and then what they value, and then you just take that away. So I have kids, what they really wanted was attention. And I took the attention away. I literally pretended they were invisible. There's nothing that they could ask me. I wouldn't even respond, because guess what? I only respond to children who uphold the values in my classroom. So it's almost a way of like, you just have to get creative. That's what I would say. But yes, I think physical discipline works to an extent, but we got to go beyond that, because sometimes the physical discipline is not teaching character. So when a child says something like that, I would say, wow, go back to the questioning. Wow. Well, when teaching and then questioning, right? You would tell them, now why would you want to misbehave? What type of person do you think you'll be in the future if you continue to not do your work, or if you continue to like, these kids are smart, they know, and they'll even, if they don't answer the question, they'll be thinking in their head, is that the type of person that you want to be? I wouldn't want to be around a person like that. I wonder if you'll even have friends if you continue to mistreat people. And even those type of conversations, they go a long way. You might not think it does, but it does. And maybe there's another conversation about behavior management, but I have all sorts of behavior management techniques that I had to implement because I can't physically touch someone else's child in the US. You just can't do it. But yes, there is a way to discipline children without physically disciplining them. We have to shift our mindset on what we think discipline is. I hope I was able to answer just a little bit.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks, ma'am. Thanks, ma'am.
All right. So yeah, there are ways to discipline children without necessarily having to use verbal insults or abuse. You can beat all you want and you still not change the thing in that child. So you have to look out for strategies. What does the child value? And how can you make the child actually get to understand or see the future about it? Because most times these children, I think most times they take a toll from their parents and also from what it is that they watch around them, whether the movies or something, and then they want to really implement or carry out some of these actions that they see, right? So you have to understand them, right? That is exactly where I agree with you also, Nancy, when you talk about rapport building. So you have to look for ways to build rapport with that child. So you can imagine that child at that point telling you, hey, you can't beat me, you can't do anything to me, so I can do anything I want to do. That shouldn't make you helpless as a teacher. That should, I mean, it should challenge you to look out for strategic ways to really reach that child. And I'm sure that you're going to see opportunities to do that as well. During our Clubhouse session yesterday, someone, an educator from a part of Nigeria, complained about a student that is just aggressive for no reason, and she's a girl that she just has mood swings, and then she just gets angry. And remember, we're talking about mental health and emotional balance, and just talked about it. And I like you made some comments about that, and that sounds similar to what it is that Friday has just talked about. Although different, all right. You must look out for ways to build rapport with the student. All right. So we're going to talk about more questions. We're going to take more questions now. More questions. I'm going to the chat session to see if there are more questions, right? Or discipline are what type of discipline are referring to? I hope it's not flogging. No, Frank, we're talking about flogging. We're saying that there is a different way aside the physical um, discipline, right? The physical, the use of force, the backhands, the floggings, the abusive words, and okay, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, even if you think about the word discipline, what is discipline? Discipline is doing things that you have to do even when you don't want to, right? So I think about the military. They didn't have to flog people to discipline them. There's a certain type of training that was developed. Routine brings discipline. Consistency breeds discipline, and also just taking something away, right, that you really value because you didn't follow this particular protocol that's there. And so the more routines that you can set up in your classroom, that actually disciplines children. And Joshua, you reiterated what I said. Rapport building goes a long way. You actually don't disrespect people that you respect, right? When you have a relationship with someone and you value someone, for the most part, 85-90% of the time, you uphold them a certain type of way and you respect them and you want to treat them with love and care. That is why rapport building is one of the best things that you can do. Now that person has your ear because I know they love me and we built this relationship. These life lessons that they're teaching me are not to hurt me. So I can talk about empathy. I can talk about self-reflection. I can talk about communication and listening with a child because they know that I'm telling them something that's going to make them better because we have that relationship. So we cannot underestimate the power of having rapport with our children. It actually will take care of 90% of your disciplinary solutions when you have that rapport.
Wow. And that is very true. I like that. I like the way you ended that. Rapport building will take away up to 90% of the issues that we have with our students, the disciplinary issues we have with our students. That's been amazing. Right. If you just joined us, we are in the Educators Retreat 1.0, and we have just concluded a session. We are almost concluding a session. All right. We are in the Q&A, the question and answer time for this particular session. I'm actually taking more questions. All right. So stick around because we have very important news for you before we leave here tonight. All right. So I have one more question. Oh, two more questions. Okay. Please, let's hear. First of all, I'm going to take Judith, Mrs. Judith Adegoke. All right. So just take it away. Use the mic, pump on the mic, and ask your questions. You have to unmute yourself. You have to click on the mic icon to unmute yourself. That's right.
All right. Okay. Can you hear me? Good evening, House. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes.
I want to thank the convener of this visual seminar, Mr. Joshua. Although I went offline at a point, and Mrs. Naxi has said a lot about some of the critical characteristics you have to be as a teacher. And this issue of flogging or using corporal punishment is not a good one at all, because so many schools you see teachers using spankers, and sometimes they even inflict injuries on our friends. In my school, we call them friends, and by the special grace of God, I've been in the teaching sector for a very long time. I'm a facilitator as well, and also a head of school. And for me, I have my own way of, discipline our friends by not flogging them or using the spanker. Most times I do cancel them, or I'll sack them. I try to bring them close. For example, there was a scenario of a child that called another friend a mad person, and they happened to bring the child from the nursery section to my office. What I did was I told him, "Why did you call him a mad person? Do you know who a mad person is?" He was looking at me. So I turned my system and I just Googled a picture of a mad person. And I told him, how does this person look? And he was like, the person is looking so dirty. So do you like this person? And he said, no. So why will you like your friend to be like this? He said no. So I told him after much counseling, he stopped using that. So I believe there are other ways. Sometimes I do deprive them. I tell teachers to deprive them of their favorites. Okay, although we'll ask them to give it back to them, maybe a child that will want to use the swing or the slide, when others are playing, you actually tell them to sit back for a while. Then you make them feel so bad to understand the reason why you're doing that. And after a while, you can allow them to do that. I believe there are other ways, because I'm not the convener, I'm not the facilitator. I want Mrs. Nancy, if you can actually tell the house more ways that you can actually, teachers can use to curb the excesses of these friends, because so many of them are they are becoming very naughty. And we have so many yak, if I may use the word yak, we have so many yak friends in the classroom. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. So again, this is the behavior management systems. I would say you want to create it in your classroom, right? Yeah. So first of all, positive praising. You'll be surprised at what positive praising does for kids with negative behavior, because people like attention and people like to be praised. It is human nature. So what I typically do, I love the way, I'm just so pleased with Joshua. He's getting all his work done. He's reading. He's actually exemplifying what it means to be a leader in this classroom. And then praise him. If you, whatever your behavior, and I don't know if you have a behavior management system, but that positive praise alone goes a long way, because the person who's now acting, they want that attention too. So they'll change their behavior. And then also you've given them example of what exemplar behavior looks like. That's number one. Number two, there's different behavior management systems. So for instance, you can even do a point system, right? So when I used to teach, we had something called Classroom Dojo. So you have negative points for negative behaviors, and some things are -1 point, some things are -2 points, some things -3. That way they're able to see how many points are getting taken away from them. And then for the good behavior, listening, turning in your work, complimenting a friend, being kind, whatever those exemplar behaviors you want to see, we now give points for those behaviors as well. It's but the use of technology, that's how I've done it. I've done it manually before, where I've had a clipboard and I would give my leader in the classroom, I would say, give this child 2 points or give this child 1 point, and she'll tally everything for me. So whether you have technology or you don't have technology, that's a way to do it. Then the kids who had 100 points at the end of the week, they received something of value. Again, it doesn't have to be monetarily. It doesn't have to be physical. If they value time, maybe extra time to go hang out with their friends, 5 extra minutes, these type of things, or a homework pass, because I gave homework every single day. Sometimes it was just to read for 30 minutes. That pass, they'll just feel good about it. So you automatically get an A for that homework assignment, because you got the 100 points at the end of the week. I'm going to reward you for being an excellent student. Again, we don't have too much time, but your behavior management system that is not inclusive of flogging, because to be honest, you can flog someone 105 times. They didn't learn the lesson. They don't know the model behavior that is supposed to be demonstrated. It's just a temporary correction. So we want to change the behavior and change the character of children. That's going to take time and repeated behaviors and examples of what a model behavior looks like. So that's just quickly in the little time that I have, a behavior management system. You can use a point system to track behaviors. Students can see what they, at the end of the week, how they, every day, these are the points that you lost due to bad behavior. These are the points that you earned for good behavior. And then secondly, always praising someone for doing well will make them want to do well all the time and get the others to want to be like that as well. And you do it publicly. You don't want to mention the negative behavior publicly because that can bring shame. But you want to mention the positive behavior because that brings pride, right? This sense of like, I done well. So you do the positive behavior publicly, and then those kids who are not behaving like that, they're going to want to do that as well. That's my quick answer for your question.
Thank you on that. Because of our time, we're trying to wrap it up quickly. But we have one more question on the chat, so we can see how to do maybe justice to this quickly. He said, Esther Larry saying, I have a difficult child who doesn't want to learn because she feels reading and learning is too stressful. Okay. Different about reading and learning. I don't know how to help her. What do I do? Nancy, this is up to you. So what can you tell Esther for this kid that doesn't want to read, doesn't feel like reading?
So I would say, number one, again, this is why rapport building is so critical. Does she even know why she should read? Like, does she know why? Like, beyond getting a good grade, why is reading important? And here's the thing. Can she connect it to something that's real and tangible for her? So I'll give you an example. I had a little boy. He got kicked out of his math class. I taught reading and I taught history, but he got kicked out of his math class. He never did his work in other teachers' classrooms. Why? He didn't have a rapport with them. So I said, why are you not doing your work? His name was Devarius. Why are you not doing your work, Devarius? He said, I don't want to be a doctor. This is why he wasn't doing his math homework, his math work in class. He associated math with being a doctor. He didn't want to be a doctor, so he didn't understand why he needed math. I said, oh my gosh, a doctor? You don't have to be a doctor. I don't want to be a doctor. Being a doctor is difficult. I don't want to be that. So now I'm also building a connection with him. Hey, you don't want to be a doctor? Guess what? I don't either. I don't even have any desire to be one. But what do you want to be? He told me he wanted to be a barber. I said, oh my gosh, a barber? What if, and then I started talking why he needs to know math so he's not cheated when he's having his barber business. And then I said, wow, what if you can open up your own barber shop? You can have a whole business. Oh, you really need to know math now and then I told him that exact math, that type of math he was doing, how it connects to him. It has to resonate. So I'm curious to know this little girl who doesn't want to read. First of all, why? And then I'm sure she has her reasons why. Then from there, well, what do you want? Because guess what? I don't want to read either. Actually, sometimes reading is boring. Can we have real conversations with our kids? Hey, guess what? Whatever her name is, I don't want to read either. But let me tell you why I read. Because I want to have the best business in the world. And guess what? I read things that are going to help me with my business. And plus, reading helps my critical thinking. I got to be a good thinker so I can know the different strategies to implement in my business. That's why I read. And I'm just being honest. Now, if you ask me to go read a book about being a scientist and all, I don't want to read those things. But guess what? I had to do what I had to do in school so I can get to that final destination for what I want for myself. This goes with understanding your kids. What do they want? They don't want to read. They probably want to play video games all day. They want to play with their friends. They want to dance. But guess what? We got to do what we have to do to get the things that we desire in life. So these conversations and reflection, and again, tying it to leadership, good leaders understand that sacrifice, right? You just give them a life lesson. That's what it's really about. So have the conversation with her, figure out why she doesn't want to read. It could be that she's not a good reader. And then we implement little strategies that she can implement the next day to help her be more confident in reading so she can get to the goal that she wants for herself in the future. But we have to start making the connection between real life and our academics. If we just push kids to do academic focus only, they don't even understand why they need to be academically sharp for their future. I hope that that helps. She said it's boring. Yeah, reading is boring to some if they're not reading things that they like. What can we put in front of her that is desirable that she can read? Even if it's a magazine, even if it's something on the internet, what does she enjoy that she can read about? I would start there.
All right. Esther, you've heard that. And I can see the extra additional comment you added to that. It still doesn't matter because you just have to really get her, use this principle of rapport building and have a conversation to know who she is, why she does these things, why she has this mindset, show her exactly what can be done, if she thinks that, okay, my parents has money and that's why I don't want to read, then you have to get her to the point where she understands that, of course, she's not going to be a baby or a child forever, and at some point she's got to stand for herself, and she has to of course have responsibilities to raise other people. So you have to take her through that journey and also make sure that she understands that. All right, and that goes out for every other situation and that we've mentioned here. And thank you so much, Nancy, for showing us light on that, and I mean throwing all light on that. Thank you so much. You've really expounded on that, and I really hope that everyone here would at least say, I'm living with this, I'm living with that, I'm living with this. There are different strategies that we've shared here, and I want to make sure that you are implementing these things in your classroom. I'm not sure if there are any more questions, but for now, I want to especially appreciate all the speakers that has come on this platform. Yesterday, we had an amazing time with Mrs. Okeinfu Ajayi, Ms. Anita Buckthorpe, and today we've had an amazing session both with myself and also Dr. Sumismat Francis, represented by Faith Olani, and also finally Nancy Taiye Aragbaye. It has been an honor to host this session and really have each and every one of you, and also the listeners, the participants that have been participating from yesterday. This has really been amazing. And I also want to give a special shout out to the moderators as well. You guys have done a very great job. And the reason why Nancy, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just have a final thought, and this just came to me in the most simplified way, because I know a lot of people are asking questions about behavior and this and that. The moment you lead with positive values, just come up with 5. Come up with 5, because that's how we started the conversation about leadership. Positive value is what it means to lead and teach people, right? Everything that you do in your classroom or in your school building as a school leader, instill those values in the children. So when they're misbehaving or whatever it is that you see, the character is not aligned with the values, you have them reflect and ask them, is it aligned with those values? Because we have to begin to teach children what it means to be a positive human and build good character. And I don't want us to get away from that. I know we had a lot of questions about behavior, but the more you lead with the positive values, the more you'll get to see this slow change in the child. These things are not instant. It's not. Every day you drill in that positive value and you'll start to see a difference. And even if you don't see a difference that year, trust me, those lessons, they're lingering in their ears, okay? So please lead with that. Lead with those positive values. That is what leadership is all about. And that's this last comment I had. Thank you, Joshua.
Oh my. See, I don't know. See, you can keep talking and talking, and then I just want you to keep going and going. I'm serious. Because you're stuck, and then it feels like you've not said anything. Okay, you bring in more. I mean, oh God. I mean, we can have enough of you. Thank you so much. Now, of course, Nancy is going to She's going to be with us from time to time, maybe on Clubhouse. So you want to make sure that you've clicked on the link that I've just sent right now. And you're going to see the option to, I think it shows view the Clubhouse sessions or something. So click on it. It's going to send you back to Clubhouse. Make sure that you are a member of the eTeacher network on Clubhouse. That is one. And then two, make sure that you registered into this event. I'm going to put up the link right here soon, but make sure that you registered into this event. That way we have your email and we can send all this information to you in your email. All right. Now, in closure, of course, again, Nancy, thank you so much for coming up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And of course, Faith Olani, thank you so much. And our prayers are with Dr. Sumi. And we know that he's going to be very strong enough to be with us physically next time. All right. So
yeah,
everyone,
you so much,
thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you for staying to the end. Thank you so much. Please extend our regards and our prayers to him. He is deeply appreciated in our hearts as well.
Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so then to everyone in the room, like I said, we had different sessions. I just want to wrap up quickly so that we can kick it for the night. We had different sessions, and I want to draw your attention to a very important session we had this afternoon, which was the educators' rewards and creating multiple streams of recurring income for educators. It is so important. We had that session in the afternoon, and prior to that time, we also had the session on mental health for educators. Right, and these are sessions that you still need to go and watch. All right, but the one that we had this afternoon was quite particular because I was the facilitator for that session, and I put in everything that I have learned in the past years and I implement in my businesses, and I put it into 3-point strategies that you can implement in your business, that you can implement as an educator, or 3 models, 3 top strategies of making money that you can implement as an educator in your as a side hustle or as a side business for multiple streams of recurring income, because you need money. A whole lot of these issues, when we're talking about stresses of educators, one of the things that was raised countless times was frustrations. Educators most times are frustrated. I work too much, I do this, I do that, and I don't have money. I don't have what it takes to feed my family. I still have issues. All right, just like we're talking about these things now, it seems like we expect you to be a superpower or something, but you're still human. You still have needs, you still have families. And the way you can be able to keep up with your passion, because definitely you can't do this if you don't have passion for it. If you don't have passion for education and you were a teacher, I would advise you to leave it. But of course, if you are here, I'm sure that you have passion for what you're doing. For you to be here, because there are other teachers that saw this and they did not see it fit for them to be here. But for you to be here means that you have passion for it. And definitely, of course, you're looking for how can I make more income as an educator? I showed you that in the afternoon session. So make sure that you've clicked on the link and you follow that link. I just pasted it again. Follow that link and go back and watch that session. It's available. The session yesterday on Clubhouse, the session today on Clubhouse are all available on Clubhouse for you to view again. But the session we had yesterday in the night and this one, the replay, will be available on YouTube later on next week, and we're going to send you notifications on your email. But then also, I just want to point your attention to a few things. The announcement right now. Look, okay, that's the link I've been posting. This is the announcement link. And I need to highlight on this link, everything you need is on this link. And that this link will be active till the end of January, right? So it means that in this link, you're going to find the links to the speakers. The speakers are all the speakers that came into the house, all the speakers that we've had from yesterday till today, the links that you can use to connect with them. For example, Mr. Keifu told us about the Classroom Connect. The Classroom Connect is a book. If you click on that link, you will see the book, The Classroom Connect. You can use that link, this particular link, to buy this book for yourself. That is a way that you can connect with the speakers and find out what they're doing. Of course, Nancy here will be launching a leadership academy in a few weeks. I'm sure it's going to be, Nancy, this is weeks or months, or in a little while, she'll be launching her leadership academy. You want to tell us something about it, Nancy?
Yeah, I will. It's a virtual academy. Again, everything I do is teaching, and I think teaching you shouldn't need a lot of money to access education, right? So we will have a platform where it will be very affordable, 1,000 Naira monthly to access these leadership development trainings. And it can be used across whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a teacher, whether you're looking for political office, just leadership lessons that you can implement across any industry. So that will be available first week of February.
So make sure that you are a member of the eTeacher Network. Right now, currently, it is free to be a member of the eTeacher Network. It is free to be a member. And that is why I'm giving you the opportunity to take this opportunity now, because tomorrow, when we're going to add a few things to it, it might not be so free again. So take this opportunity now and bring a lot of your friends in. Be a member of the eTeacher Network, because through this network, we're going to bring, of course, this academy to you. All right, so that you can be a part of this leadership academy. And of course, you're going to receive constant support. So on the eTeacher Network on Clubhouse, and one thing you need to know about Clubhouse, because I see that most of you here weren't in our Clubhouse session, it's an audio platform. It's an audio chat platform that allows us to really connect and multitask. So this is my phone. I can be on Clubhouse and my phone is really off like this, as you can see. It can be off like this, and I'm having a full-time session on Clubhouse, and I can multitask. I can do a whole lot of things on my phone. So that's one good thing we like about Clubhouse, and we use Clubhouse very well. So make sure that you are a member of the eTeacher Network on Clubhouse. Of course, also Faith here, representing Dr. Sumi Smart Francis, is also representing an organization which is the Africa's Young Entrepreneurs. You as an educator, we're talking about the role of educators in entrepreneurship development, right? You want to learn about entrepreneurship, be a part of the entrepreneurship network, the largest entrepreneurship network in Africa. Click on this link right now, and you're going to see the option to join this network for free on Clubhouse. You're going to see the option to join this network for free on Clubhouse. So make sure that you are clicking on this link. All right, make sure you are clicking on this link to be a member of the Africa's Young Entrepreneurs on Clubhouse. Now, also, I just want to highlight on the Digital Marketing Expo course that was we highlighted during the session today. All right, we highlighted this course during the session today, and we said that in this course, as an educator or anybody, why you need to take this course is that it's going to help you to see how you want to start up your online business. All right, you want to create multiple streams of recurring income. This is going to show you the very basis of starting your online business, and it's going to give you access to free tools that you can use to set up your online business, set up the flow, and automate it in a way that you can focus on being the best educator that you are, but you are making money from another source. That is what this course is supposed to help you do. And this course is sold for 10,000 Naira, but we slashed it to 5,000 Naira just for educators, and it's going to last till the end of January. Now I'm going to give you an advice. You want to understand more about what this course is all about? Click on the link and go watch out the session that we had on Clubhouse. Go watch that session, and that session today and yesterday is going to explain to you more of what this course is going to be giving to you. Of course, I also want to talk about the eTeacher course. This is the phenomenal name that came about the eTeacher Network, the eTeacher course. All right, you want to make sure that you take this course. You talk about productivity, you talk about efficiency as an individual, you want to talk about personal and professional development using technological tools. You're going to be taught about tools that you can use in classroom, tools that you can use in your life, how you can be more productive as an educator. All these are embedded into this. So make sure that you're clicking on that link. Of course, all this information are on that course. And finally, I'm sure that you have gotten value here. I'm sure you have gotten value. If you say you've gotten value, then you have to prove to me that you've gotten value. If you click on this link, I'm going to post it again. This same link, if you click on this link, you will see the option to give a review. Now, this review I'm asking you to give is not so that the reason why I'm asking you to give this review is that you can bear witness to yourself that yes, I came to a session like this and this was exactly what I got. Thank you so much. I appreciate every one of you. And this is the grand finale of the Educators Retreat, and we have come to the end of the session. Thank you so much, and good night, everyone.